Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Fire It Up with CJ show. Today we have Christina Pratt, who is a healer and author, and we're going to be talking about some of the shamanic practices that she has been doing over the last 30 years. Is that right, Christina?
Yeah.
30 years, and it's called Awakening the Courageous Heart. And we were talking about how we have such misconceptions about what true love is and how important it is to cultivate self-love and the love on the inside, of which Christina's been working for the last 30 years developing through her coursework. So we're going to talk a little bit about her class and tell me, what have you found over the period of time as you've been teaching this class?
Well, what I've noticed with students and clients is in the beginning of my practice, which was 30 years ago, people would have presenting issues like, I don't want to feel depressed, I don't want to feel anxious, which is understandable. Mostly I don't want to feel depressed, which is a hard issue. But
Right. Ah.
now what's changed over time is people actually are saying, I don't want to feel. Like the allopathic medical system and just the sort of over-the-counter self-help thing is just making people feel as if to feel in and of itself is somehow dysfunctional. And and it's very sad because if we don't feel our feelings, the ones we enjoy feeling and the ones we don't, we lose our path to being really wholehearted in life and very passionate and engaged. I mean, we don't get to live a passionate life of your soul's purpose if you're unwilling to feel certain things.
Right.
You
Because
know,
that's part of the heart's purpose, right? To feel
absolutely.
sadness, happiness, joy,
Absolutely.
misery. It's part of what it's there for, I
Exactly.
think. Right.
Exactly. And so one of the things I've noticed is because people are going for being numbed out, whether it's pharmaceutical prescription drugs or drinking too much, smoking too much pot, whatever it is to numb out, people don't aren't wanting to feel. And if we don't want to feel, we can't find our path back to our heart. That's its job, is to
Right.
feel things.
Right. Right. So
And
how do you get people to kind of take little baby steps? It's like, I want a pill. We're like, no, don't take a pill. Meditate. I mean, what do you do?
Well, the first thing is to help people understand that this perception is an education that's happened in this very short time frame. It's not a reality. It's not a truth. I mean, it's just people have been educated to think they're not supposed to be feeling certain ways. And so part of it is just re-educating, giving people different ideas about what healthy looks like. What would
Right.
be, what does it mean to have a kind of emotional intelligence? And then also put it on the line with people. If you want to live a life of passion, you have to be willing to feel passion. It
Right.
burns.
Right.
So you have
Yeah.
to be
Well,
willing to
sometimes
go
it will
there.
feel, like a sense of elation, and sometimes it will feel a
Yeah,
sense of deflation, or
exactly.
depression or whatever it will feel. But then you're at least living a passionate life, right?
Exactly.
I think we
Exactly.
have this dualistic universe where we want all the good things and none of the
Mm,
bad things, but the
yeah.
reality is the world comes with both of these things, and if you can knit them together,
Yeah, especially the emotional world,
yeah.
that we don't get the highs in the pleasurable experiences if we are not willing to experience the depths of pain. And so part of it is also to help people understand this antagonistic dualism that the Western culture promotes is false.
Hmm.
And that the deeper truth, which shamanic cultures understand and Taoistic cultures, is that the energies are actually a complementary dualism.
Hmm.
And so for me, the deepest love that I ever experienced came after my most bereft and empty time.
That's the dualistic nature of it,
Yeah,
and
and
that.
understanding that it was because I was willing to just go into that pain. I'd lost my teacher, I'd
Hmm.
lost half of my students, I'd lost, I mean, the list was huge. It's like I felt like I'd lost every relational thing. My heart was just broken and I just felt absolutely empty. And then I understood, oh, this is what needs to happen for it to be filled differently, different quality. And so then I started thinking about in my emptiness, in that dark place, well, if I could fill my heart with anything I could imagine, anything my heart could dream of, what would that be? Would it be all that same stuff? Well, actually, it wouldn't. I would like relationships of this quality and a partner of these qualities. It's a place to dream from because
Hmm.
there's nothing going on.
Right.
You're
Right.
completely empty. And that emptiness is what allows the universe to then fill it. And so the important thing is to not be sitting there whining about what you lost because that's what you're going to get
Okay, but how about those
is
of
the old stuff.
those folks out there who I'm like, well, I never even had anything to lose. You know,
Hmm.
they're empty, but then they have no vision. It seems like. Do you know what I mean? I'm empty. I don't have a spouse. I don't have a loved one. I don't have kids. You know, whatever wherever they're going with their story, how can you fill that place up?
Yeah. Well, the other thing about that bereft time is another thing that I did in that time is I was learning about Taoistic practices. They're male practices and female practices because they have to do with your body parts, and
Right.
that's where we're different.
Right.
Um, but it was about really cultivating generative chi that allows you to then use that to manifest things in life. And so I found that I was going really deep into a very intimate Qigong practice, not something I would practice necessarily in a class, but it was a
Right.
private practice, and it was very much about working with, the female sexual organs. The male practice is about working with the male, but it's very personal and very intimate.
Right.
And in creating that intimacy with myself through these practices, it's like it opened this door to all kinds of intimacy in my heart, in my life. And it wasn't my point. It wasn't what I was trying to do. And so I realized it was that commitment to myself, not that I was trying to love myself.
Right.
I wasn't. I was trying to generate the kind of energy that would call in a new life. And
Fascinating.
and it worked. And I wouldn't have
Well, and the
done
new
it
thing that the life that you called in was your own life.
exactly, me first.
Yeah.
And what I noticed is all of a sudden the things that I noticed in the world and noticed me radically changed after that.
Yeah, it's fascinating. I was just talking to someone who they're focusing on Tantra, which the Tantra is all about, from what I understand from the brief conversation, is that it's all about owning your female power and your creativity. And in that case, they focus on the yoni, which is your
Hmm.
vaginal area, but it's a way of, but that is, it's less about the sex and things, and it's more
Hmm.
about that being, your entryway for life to come into and to have a different relationship to that. Because when you can actually have a relationship that's not frightening, but loving,
Hmm.
and loving of that energy, you love yourself. Do you know what I mean? Because that
Hmm.
energy is you.
Well, and that was the thing. It's like you said, because we're so confused about love anyway, telling people love yourself ends up being a somewhat blind leading the blind journey because we
Right.
don't, but by going through these ancient practices, it opened up an intimacy that then allowed this other kind of love to begin to flow in my life with myself and then in from me then out into the
And
world.
to loop back to what you were saying earlier, I think that's the key thing, is that in order to get that intimacy, you need to be able to feel. You need to
Hmm.
be able to feel the life energy come through you so you have an experiential sense. Because if you
Absolutely.
can't feel or in touch with those things, I think it's really hard. Then it becomes a
Yeah.
concept, like I'm going through this meditation and I'm kind of, I don't know what I'm doing because I don't feel anything.
Right. Part of the trick, I think, in actually finding love with another person is finding someone who loves the way you do.
Right.
Don't find someone who doesn't do it the way you do it.
Right.
And really find a kind of compatibility. I mean, I think sexual compatibility is important, but someone who's looking for qualities in love similarly and isn't going to tell you you don't love right. I mean,
Right.
that's not going to work.
Yeah. Well, it could work if you recognize those things.
Yeah. And
Yeah, I
another
like
thing
that.
is people culturally are really afraid to be alone. Like
Yeah.
somehow if I'm alone, I'm a bad person.
Yeah.
And I think you need to take a page out of your favorite introvert's book and understand that being alone is a rare and precious commodity in life, and you should enjoy it while you have it. And
Yes.
if you actually enjoy being alone, it will soon be taken from you.
I will agree on that. I took I had a reclusive period from October through December, and it just got ripped right out of my hands. But
Yeah.
it was wonderful when I had it, and I would never have gone into that space because I was always afraid of having emptiness. But now, having had emptiness, I can definitely talk about the virtues of just having that space, that contemplative space. So
And
we
so
have,
yeah, people stay in relationship too long because they're afraid to be alone and they just
yeah,
flog each other.
yeah, that's true.
It's like just get out.
Right.
Be alone. It's
Yeah.
fine. You
Yeah.
won't die.
That's true.
And you're not a bad person because you're alone on Valentine's Day.
Right.
I mean, I've been alone almost all Valentine's Day, and I'm not a bad person, and I work with people with their hearts all the time. I
Right.
mean,
Yeah. And you're
it's
lovable. You're
yeah, I like
absolutely
to think so.
lovable. Absolutely. So you have Christina Pratt, who's going to be teaching in Tucson, Arizona on February 28th to March 2nd. And then the follow-up series is going to be on October 24th to 26th. And the class is Awakening a Courageous Heart. Thank you so much for being here. I love your energy, your spirit, and your kind of pragmatic approach. Love
Thank
it.
you, CJ.
All right. Thank you. Bye.